You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's After Show.
Is it Hawaiian? Is that your best monkey
Jungle.
sound?
I'm in the jungle.
Wow! Okay, so we started with that because pageantry world, it is a jungle out there, folks. Welcome, guys, to AFTERBUZZ TV. I'm Susie Castillo and my co-host, Shandi Finnessey. And today we're talking, of course, about Game of Thrones. It's episode
Game of
3.
Crowns.
Oh, Game of Crowns.
Just as dangerous, though.
Just as dangerous. Somebody may or may not die this season on Game of Crowns, but so much went down this episode. So let's get right into it.
Let's dive right in. Now, where we left it last time, we saw Lynne having a little bit of a conflict with Leha and Vanessa and Shelley.
We did. Real quick, though, before we get into it, Austin Ryde is here. And
Yeah,
for
we
those
have
of you who... Oh, go ahead.
We have a guest, if anyone, and we will definitely pick your brain up the wazoo in a bit. But this is Austin Ryde. The reason that he is here, he's a pageant makeup guru in the whole pageant world, and well sought out because of his makeup technique and skill. And he literally, I mean, your transformation pictures from like before and after, it's like she had 3 eyes before, and now she's like amazing.
I have some that I can't post.
Oh, hilarious.
Oh.
Just because for the girls' well-being, it's probably not a good idea for me to post it.
The befores, you mean?
Yeah, the befores. I think it might hurt their feelings if I posted it. So.
That's-
But
Yeah.
I wish I could, because those are the best ones.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
seeing the transformation.
Yeah.
And so we want to pick your brain in a little bit, because not only are you this, all the brains around the beauty in the pageant world, but you also were part of most of the filming of Game of Crowns. You were helping do the makeup and around all the girls and around all the pageant chaos and drama. So we definitely will pick your brain.
Yes.
But let's first jump into the whole Lynne, Leha debacle and what happened. And where we left it last time was that Lynne had sort of thrown under the bus Vanessa and Shelley. So
Right.
Leha went to go talk to the 2 girls. And I have to say that I was actually really, 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 really impressed that Shelley immediately went into apologizing for hurting Leha. I mean, we all have been there before where we hurt someone's feelings unintentionally. And she didn't actually even, if you watched how Shelley, she just sort of agreed to what was happening and what they were
Right.
saying. She didn't actually come up with her own thoughts and ideas. But the fact that she immediately went in to apologize, I just really respected that.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's always great when somebody kind of owns up and apologizes. You know, it kind of bothered me that that Lynne didn't come across as sincere in this episode to me when she apologized to Leha.
Oh, you're talking about Shelley.
No, I thought Shelley was fantastic. I thought she did a great job.
You thought who didn't seem?
Leha. When Leha confronted
Vanessa and Shelley.
Well, when Leha confronted Lynne last episode at the cafe, they had their big fight. They had their moment. Leha left. Nothing got resolved from there. Lynne apologized, but it didn't come across as sincere to me when
You're
that
right.
happened. And then once again, Shelley confronted now Lynne and talked to her at the eyeglass shop about that whole situation. And again, she just didn't seem sincere to me. Austin, did you work with her like
Who
closely with Lynne?
with Lynne.
She's actually a longtime client of mine and a good friend.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm like, I don't know if this is,
Yeah.
if it's reality TV, the way things get cut and the way it's produced. I mean, we know that we know a lot of people on reality TV, and so often they're like, it's not really reality. So it's hard to really get a sense of what these women are like.
You know what, though? Before you answer that, I have to say that I have definitely been guilty of being in a position where if someone says, did you say this? And I feel guilty, or I am guilty of it, and instead of just like it's almost like you want to like, well, it wasn't just me, it was her too, and you want to like
Right.
point the fingers, and it almost takes like a very humble approach to be able to not throw anyone else under the bus and completely own up to something at times.
Sure.
Full accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
And
are
I
your
don't think
thoughts?
she did that. But again, you know her.
So the episode is from a week ago for us because we just watched it. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember exactly how it went down when she was in her store, her optics eyewear.
yeah.
But from what I remember, and I'm not defending her because I'm close with her, I'm pretty good at being unbiased. I think Lynne is a very genuine person. She is a little eccentric, and she likes her blue hair, and she's fun and kind of crazy in a good way, but I've never found her in the couple years that I've worked with her to be insincere. So I remember it as her taking full accountability and saying, I did do that and I'm sorry. But I watched it a week ago.
You know, I'm glad that you just touched on her blue hair, because last AfterBuzz TV was the first time that I had seen her, and it was shocking to see a woman who, you know, once we become like mature women, to have blue hair and to be that eccentric. I now, and tell me if you feel the same way, I'm kind of like getting her vibe, and I'm used, because like even in the pageant that we watched in tonight's episode with Miss New England State Pageant, and she had this like bright pink dress on, whereas now I'm like, oh, I'm getting it. Like that's her style, it's her thing. It's like, it is like how one of the girls said, like the Barbie, and I'm starting to understand her vibe and her personality.
She, it's funny, I have all these clients, and you guys probably can relate as pageant coaches and you've been in the industry for a while. I have all these clients that will send me pictures of a celebrity and they say, I want to look just like this. This is what I want my makeup to look like. Lynne is the only person that sends me pictures of Barbies. You know how they have like different Barbies?
Okay, this
Lynne
makes a
sends
lot
me
of
like,
sense.
I want to be Grecian Barbie. I want to be exotic Barbie. Like she sends me pictures of Barbies.
Is
She's just like really,
hilarious.
really fun, and she loves Barbies. And she says she wants to be Barbie, and like in a good way, not in a crazy way. Like she's a great mom, a great wife, and actually really, really smart. She's a lawyer. She owns a huge eyewear company, and I myself have known of optics eyewear for a while. And I just recently went to Rhode Island about 2 weeks ago, and I didn't realize how big it was. And
It's
I went,
huge. I'm from Massachusetts. I've seen it
Oh, you've
all
been
over.
there?
Yeah. Well,
So,
yeah.
And the actual store is actually really big and really nice, and it's connected to her husband's business because he is an eye surgeon. So it is really, really a big deal. And I think if people got to see that on the show, they'd probably see her a little bit differently.
Yeah.
All they're seeing right now is the blue hair and the Barbie and the
Sure.
fun, and so they
Well,
kind of think that they can't take this
And
seriously.
unfortunately, that is kind of what you sign up for when you go on reality shows.
Absolutely.
That they have a very specific genre that they're looking for. They want high drama, what we see as stereotypical pageant girls that are competitive and backstabbing and catty and fake. And
Are they friends in real life? Like, were they friends prior, or was this something that...
All six?
Yeah.
I wonder, I don't want to get in trouble for saying certain things, but
Sure.
I mean, I don't think I signed contracts with Bravo that would get me in trouble with that. A couple of them, I think they all knew each other. I know that for sure.
or knew of each other.
Yeah, or knew of each other. I know that Leah and Lynne actually live like maybe streets apart in the same town, and they had known each other. I don't know if you remember seeing the first episode, but Leah was competing in Rhode Island, USA at the same time that Lynne was hosting it because she was a former Miss Rhode Island, USA. So they had kind of known each other, and then when the show got created and they were all cast, they all became closer friends.
And that's how reality shows normally are, is they'll find like 2 or 3 friends, and then they need a larger ensemble.
Right.
And so then they look for like all the other different elements, whether it's like drama or whatever it is to put it together.
Well, Austin, as somebody who's been around the pageant world for so long, do you think that this show is like a good representation of the pageant world? Because and I mean, Shandi and I Shandi's one of my best friends. You know, my best friends on this planet, a lot of them are pageant girls that I've met, and there's such a strong, positive sisterhood. And I feel like this show does the opposite of that. It's really hard for me to like root for the show.
But
Okay.
it's fun to watch.
It's fun to watch.
I get that 110%.
You know?
And when you ask if it's a good representation, do you mean accurate or positive?
Both.
Accurate.
Okay, I
For me,
think
it's-
yes, it's accurate, and no, it's not positive. I think it shows the side of pageantry that, I mean, you guys do know all the positive, happy people, but you guys have been in the industry long enough to know there are the people who are negative, and there are antics like that go down. I know of, personal stories because we have so many mutual friends. I know for a fact you guys have come in contact with, those negative.
The wackadoodles that I
Sure.
call.
But now
Everyone
when I'm
knows one or
competing-
two. There are one or
Okay,
two out there.
so-
I don't mean all girls.
Last week
By
when
all
you said
means.
that was something that struck home for me
Yeah.
because I don't think they're all wackadoodles.
And I don't even think
wackos.
90% are. And by the way, usually the percentage that aren't actually pageant girls. They're the people that are in the pageant world. It's the Uber fans. It's the
makeup artists,
stylists. Yeah,
sometimes it's
but
I've met many.
It's the people that are usually connected to the world, or even like parents of pageant people. Usually, if a girl's in a pageant for the right reasons, I think that it's rare to meet one that is, crazy or weird or whatever. It's usually the people that are affiliated to it and are around it. And being that we are business owners with Pageantology, we have to come in contact every day with people around the pageant world.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let me ask you
I've never had a bad experience. I don't know if you have, but in an actual competition, I've never had an experience like the kind of stuff that goes on the show while they're competing.
I've heard of it.
That's never happened to me.
But you guys won you have done teen. I know you didn't do teen, right? But you guys have competed in enough pageants that you might have experienced that. But you guys also finished pageants pretty soon, I think, because didn't you win Miss USA when you were a lot younger?
No,
obviously?
I was 26.
Okay, so you were at the top of your age group. But I do feel like things are changing. I mean, girls are getting a little bit, I don't know if it's angrier or more competitive or nastier. And here's the thing that I was going to tell you, and I don't know if you guys...
let me comment on that. It may actually be because now with social media that they're, because, I was lucky if I knew what the internet was.
You can hide behind this the whole time.
You can hide behind it, and you can bash each other on Twitter and Facebook and... Message
boards.
Yep.
What I was going to tell you guys, because you are married and you are not, but you guys haven't done Mrs. Pageants. Right. I have been heavily involved in Mrs. Pageants since I was younger. I grew up around Mrs. Pageants. My mom has done a lot of Mrs. Pageants, and my parents met through pageantry. So I go there's decades of pageants in my family.
Yeah.
Mrs. Pageants are crazy. There's a reason why they cast the show with Mrs. contestants, because it is a whole different ball field or ball game than
that makes me sad that you say that, because I always tell Susie that the Mrs. Pageants usually have the best prize packages. And I was telling Susie that,
I'm like, are you trying to convince me to do a pageant? I'm like, I'm done. Listen, Austin, Miss USA I'm done. I'm like, I'm quitting while I'm ahead.
But one of the Mrs. Pageants back in the day was giving away a condo in Mexico and a cigarette boat and a car and all this stuff. And I'm like, Susie, go enter. I'll split
a boat.
Let me ask you this though. So you are friends with Lynne. Leah said a quote in tonight's show, and I just want to see what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah.
Leah said, Lynne seems to be the person that is always, I can't read my own handwriting.
Oh, Shandi.
Oh, I'm sorry. Lynne seems to be the person that is always saying that she's the victim, yet at the same time, she seems to always be the one who's starting the drama.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's going to be hard because she is a friend of yours.
No. But
what do you
here's
think
the thing.
about
I really, being around pageants for such a long time, I'm good at being unbiased with my opinions, because I watch girls that I'm close with compete, and I have to step back and, say whether I think she's going to do well or not, and try not to be biased. I don't like to be biased. I could walk up there and say, oh, my girl's going to win every time, but that's not an accurate, perception. So Lynne is the nicest person I've probably ever met. She would give you the shirt off her back, and I don't think she causes drama, but I think she's almost too nice. So she gets involved in the drama because maybe she doesn't protect herself enough. She and Leah were actually really good friends, and she did a lot of really nice things for Leah leading up to Mrs. America that people behind the camera wouldn't know about. And she really stuck her neck out there for Leah. And I don't know if they showed it in this episode or the next one, but she really was one of the only ones supporting Leah going into Mrs. America. And after Mrs. America that day, I was there the whole time. I didn't know the story had changed. I thought that the death threat story was what was told from that night on. I never knew that it came out a week later. That's the story I knew, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into detail.
So
Austin knows more than what we saw.
Speaking of the death threat, did he say that, or was she just sort of overreactive?
So I wasn't sitting there. I was behind all the chairs in the back of the room. But that night, that's what I was told.
Right.
So
Who told
that's
you
what
that? Lynne told you that?
We said it. We saw it on the show.
If not, all of them kind of agreed.
Yeah.
My recollection of that night, and I saw both Leah, her husband, and the other women that night, was that was the story. That's what we were told, and I never knew otherwise until watching the show and saw that they didn't know about the death threat towards Lynne until a week later.
Gotcha.
So that's why I was a little surprised, and I said to myself, I thought that was the story the whole time.
Yeah.
So
in terms of Leah and Lynn's relationship. I mean, Leah, when she confronted her at the coffee shop, she was in tears. You can tell that they were really, that they were good friends, A. And B, obviously, that Leah was really hurt by her comments. And, we were talking about accountability a little while ago. And Lynne, at no point did she fight for the friendship, A, and B, I didn't think that she really took accountability, because what she did instead was throw everybody else under the bus, and they were like, they were calling you a 40-footer, which I've never heard of before, and manvestite and all this stuff, and I'm like, this is supposed to be like a good friend of yours. Why would you? Right. She's confronting you about something you said. Why don't you just let her? Why don't you apologize for hurting your friend, and then let her deal with the other girls?
I think that goes back to, though, where we've all been in a situation where we don't want to be guilty, and it's like, he did, and you point fingers to diffuse your own responsibility, and it takes a bigger person, really. And that's why I said last time, I hope that, because we've all been in situations, I think, of opportunity for growth, where when you get confronted enough on something, then all of a sudden it forces you to take a look at yourself and to go, there's a change I need to make.
Yeah.
And it forces you to grow and to expand. Otherwise, you just keep brushing under the rug and hiding it. Right. So I'm hoping that in the future episodes that maybe Lynne, because now Lynne has seen how Vanessa and Shelley have apologized. So maybe she's, kind of learning of like, it's okay to make mistakes, but you have to learn from them and change and grow and...
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'm curious to see if down the road, as the season progresses, if that friendship will be mended.
I wonder if part of that meeting at that cafe or whatnot was, maybe it didn't seem genuine, because we both know in reality TV, maybe the events occurring aren't fake, but a lot of the locations are set up. So I know in a lot of reality TV that I've worked with, they say, today we're going to meet here. So maybe 100%. They told those two women, this is what we're filming today, you guys are going to meet here.
Yep.
And maybe at that point the friendship was already over, and maybe that's why it didn't seem sincere, because it seemed a lot like just going back and forth reviewing what had happened, and not necessarily trying to work it out.
That's
on both
a really good point.
That is a good point.
Very good point.
I wanted to ask you too, how did you feel about the fact that I'm saying it wrong, Vanessa, this whole time I'm like, it's Vanessa called Leah a 40-footer. You did her makeup for the Mrs. America.
Well, I will say the entire time I was there, they all said, this is the most beautiful she's ever looked. And I can be pretty critical, I think. That's not one of my, strong points, is being positive all the time. But I never once saw Leah as not pretty or masculine. I always, and maybe that's because of a makeup artist point of view, she has really strong features, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, I get to do a face that's really, really great and strong features. But I thought she looked really pretty every time I see, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but every time I see her on TV from Mrs. America, I was like, wow, she looks really good.
I think she's a pretty girl in general.
And you know what?
This episode we saw her with very little makeup.
I have been called a man before, because I'm 5'11" and a half, and I have wide shoulders.
Features.
So I think that, a way to tear people. I was just talking to my boyfriend the other day, and I was like, I remember as a kid, like, my ears were so small, people made fun of them. People made fun of my shoulder for being so big. Like, and all these little things that my toes are, like, super long, and people are always being, they're as long as my fingers. And I think people just want to try and cut you down over something.
Always.
And so
everybody gets
if you're
bullied
really
at some point
tall,
in their lives.
if you're really tall and bigger bone, then you're a man.
I have
so
long
even
toes
like
too,
on
by the way.
Real Housewives,
share that.
Leanne, they call her Lee Man on Real Housewives.
Who's Leanne?
Leanne on Real Housewives. They call her Lee Man because she's really tall. So I'm like,
good.
I feel you, girl. Well, moving on to another relationship, Vanessa and Brian. I gotta say, they might be my favorite relationship and favorite married couple. She's a breast cancer survivor, and when he married her, they obviously exchanged rings, but then he gave her daughter a ring too.
I thought that was really sweet.
And I love that when she was debating whether or not to compete in the Mrs. New England State Pageant, he said to her, in quotes, whatever it takes. You need a new dress, we'll get you a new dress. You need a new pair of shoes, we'll get you a new pair of shoes. I just love that he was so supportive of her for the right reasons. He wanted her to enter to show people, like, yes, you may have had breast cancer, but, like, you can be just as strong as everybody else.
Yeah. And mad props to her for competing still in pageants while going through something so traumatizing like that. That's awesome.
And then I know that we gave a hard time to Bella and Susanna last week because of the way Susanna was raising Bella to be. But I love that how Vanessa told her daughter, confidence matters way more than if you're a size 00. And that was, the mom was like, or that's what the daughter said to the mom when she was debating it. She's like, I'm not going to be in shape. I don't know. She was like, what did you tell me? Confidence matters more than if you're a size 00. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. So I really like Vanessa and Brian. And then the pageant happens. And I was like, oh, Vanessa, can she do it? Can she win? But before,
homegirl can be really nasty sometimes, huh? We saw so many parts.
But you know what? Every time I've seen Vanessa and had interaction with her, which is, I'd say, quite a bit. I was there for a lot of the filming. She's very, very nice.
Yeah.
But I also think that out of all the women on the show, some weren't prepared for what they signed up for. And I think you can see that. And I think it's been edited to enhance that. And then I think there's women like Vanessa who she knew what she was signing up for and she's working it. And she's gotten a lot of press over it compared to the other women. She's been on Watch What Happens Live with Andy. And I think she's doing what she needs to do for a reality show.
I would imagine that all the girls, though, are probably really nice if you meet them. Is there anyone that was like, or do you want to share if there was anyone that was like maybe not so nice?
Well, it's funny because as an outsider, I've watched the entire time from beginning to end, where at the beginning in Tucson, the groups of friends were totally different. Like Susanna was kind of an outsider, and Vanessa and all the other women were really close. And now towards the end of the season, and now in real life after the season, that's not the case at all. It's Susanna, Lorianne, and Lynne who are really close, and the other three aren't. When we filmed the opening of the show and all the credits and everything, we were in New York, and they had to separate the 6 women 3 and 3 with a producer in between the 2 rooms so that no one would talk. And they would bring you in, the 3 would get brought in, and the other 3 would get brought in at like separate times to film.
Who wants to live that way?
Not me. And I wish they would all just get along. I'll say this, no matter what drama has happened, they're all really good moms, they're all really good wives, they all have really supportive husbands, and they all have really nice kids. So it's kind of sad. It kind of makes me sick to my stomach watching the episodes because I'm seeing these people that I don't have any hard feelings towards, and they've been really nice to me, and I've seen, I think, their true colors, and they're being edited and shown in a way that's not real. Well,
let me ask you this. How do you feel about the parents making the choice to allow their children to be on a reality TV show?
I can't speak because I don't have kids, and that's what I was frustrated with about last week. By all means, the 6 women who are on the show, they signed up for it, whether they were prepared for it or not. And you guys, say whatever you want to say about them. I'm one of the most opinionated people you're going to come across, and I would do the same. The thing I had a hard time with was you guys sharing your opinions about a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old. Because they maybe had a choice when their mom asked them, but what 7-year-old is going to say, no, I don't want to be on TV? Like, that sounds like so much fun, and they loved it. And Bella's fun. She's a little crazy, but like, I was probably that way. I think I gave my parents a really hard time. I was a pain in the butt for a few years. And so sometimes I think there's nothing you can do. There was a part where Susanna said, what are you going to do about it? I can't control her. And although
she also fed her like a cup full of sugar.
Agreed. And if I had kids, I think I might parent differently than some of the women on the show. But at the end of the day, I do know I'm only 22, and so it wasn't that long ago that I was living with my parents. And I remember that sometimes there really was not anything my parents could do about the way I behaved.
No, you're absolutely right on that. And we don't have children yet either. And the sad thing is that in the reality, kids don't come with manuals. So you don't know how to raise them. And it's truly like a science experiment where every day you're like, I'll try this. What happened? Okay, they still have their fingers and toes. Now I'll try this. And we did come across harsh on Bella, which by all means we didn't mean that. But we just saw parenting styles, the way that episode was edited, that showed, we felt like the priorities were out of whack, where the emphasis was put on to be successful. Her song was saying to be successful while you sleep. Like a man just puts $200 or $2,000 in your bank account. And it was like, I just know that we all are mostly based on, we are who we are today because of how our parents raised us and all the little thoughts they put in our head along the way.
Totally.
And I would hate for this little girl to grow up thinking, well, that's money is important. Success. Yeah. And I need to have a man with money, and that's who I'm going to have to marry. And
and introducing her as like the most famous little girl.
So
in
I agree with you on the
Rhode
song.
Island.
That's the stuff that bothered me, though. And
that's all we saw. That was like our first introduction, And
I want to say, like, I've never hung out with you guys, for an extended amount of time. I've seen you here and there at pageants, and I've known of you, and we've known each other, I think, via Facebook or something like that, Twitter, and mutual friends for a while. I've never had any ill feelings towards you guys. I've always been huge supporters and big fans, and we have mutual friends, and they say great things about you guys. So when I saw that, I was really disappointed because some of the things that were said about Bella were kind of like, I'm
Hurtful,
opinionated and
yeah.
I'll say some big opinions and bold stuff on Facebook or social media, but I wouldn't go that far as saying things about a 7-year-old. The song, I agree with, maybe the lyrics of the song aren't what you would want to teach your daughter. But what frustrated me a little bit was the comments about the pinky out and
Yes.
things that, I don't know, you guys don't have kids, but I have like a little sister, and little girls enjoy having like a tea party. Like my sister's birthday party
Yeah.
was a tea party, and they enjoy putting their pinky out and talking in a British accent. And
Yeah.
you guys kind of
And
got
that-
angry
yeah.
about them talking in a British accent. And
No. It was, for me, it was, those comments were more about the parents. It was more for me about Susanna. Because she was teaching her to be that way. And it's one thing to do it like when you're just playing around as kids, I
Right.
mean, I had tea parties when I was a little girl too.
but I think that's what they were doing, right?
I think Susanna
was-
made a comment where she was like,
We're
she
teaching
said,
her class.
we're teaching her how to be
By-
fancy. And then it was like cut to the song and the fashion show and stuff.
Right.
And it was like a whole montage of Susanna emphasizing, in my opinion, just the wrong things to her
Which
daughter.
again, I mean,
Yeah.
Of course,
what's
it's
more
edited.
Yeah, because what's more interesting for the viewer?
Sure.
Showing the whole thing of how it happened and how she's
Right.
this good mom, and maybe they were having fun with the song. And they're like, let's just get sassy and whatever. And what's more interesting to the viewer, watching that or being like, no,
Yeah.
let's edit her to be like
Right.
this crazy little child who lives off of sugar. And so I think it was all of that. And then watching like what appeared to be spoonful after spoonful after spoonful of sugar, which
Right.
again, that's probably editing as well. Who knows?
Or not. I mean, I've seen parents who allow their kids to have lots of sugar.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I'm
true.
not going to pass judgment.
And if you
'cause I
saw
don't have
how much
kids.
sugar I used to put on my cereal, like I'm surprised I even made it this age.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's just I just have to. The thing that just resonated with this episode was the fact that Vanessa, the way that she was raising, and how at least her daughter has been edited.
Right.
Of you taught me all this confidence. I want you to do the same, Mom. Like you get
No,
up
that
on
was
stage.
great. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And
It
at
was
the
nice
end of
to
the
see
day-
that side.
And that's
from
the thing
someone.
is, at the end of the day, we've all seen so many pageant shows. We've seen Toddlers and Tiaras and Honey
Yeah.
Boo Boo, and we've seen all of these, what everyone expects pageants to be. Can't there just be a pageant show where it's a true representation of the girls who commit every single day to try to win that title and then win it,
Correct.
and what they do with the title and how they impact people's lives, and they truly genuinely care, and they try to leave a good footprint in the world and their thumb mark on things? And can we get that? I mean, it's still going to be
I
entertaining.
totally agree with you. And my mom just posted a status about this whole thing maybe a couple days after my post. And she said literally the exact same thing you said. And we need to stop tearing other women down and build each other up. And I totally agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I
Well,
felt that in last week's AfterBuzz episode, you guys weren't, and like I said, I have nothing against you, but my feelings
Yeah.
towards that episode were that you guys weren't doing that as examples.
Sure.
You guys weren't being
Truthfully,
examples
though,
of building people up.
You're right, but truthfully, watching a show like that, and then if we came in here, we're like, we wish they were different.
No,
It's gonna be
I'm,
boring.
Like I agree. I'm
I-
opinionated. I will say it
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah. I mean, I went in there watching the first show, that first episode that I saw, which was actually the second Game of Crowns episode. And I was expecting to see something different. But in today's climate of reality TV, I don't know why I thought
You
that I was
expected
going to. But I expected to see something a lot better than what I did. And I remember we were watching it, and I kind of sat back and I said to Shandi, I'm like, I don't think I have anything good to say about this.
It's Bravo, though.
Show.
I mean, I agree with you.
Sure, but,
I knew
but
that
it is
leading
what
up
it
to it.
is. AfterBuzz TV is about opinions. We're here to. I mean, there are some AfterBuzz shows where people really get into it,
Yeah.
And you know what? I think it's also just the evolution of reality TV. Because if you look at even like scary movies,
Right.
50 years ago, it was like duh, duh,
Sure.
duh. And you would lead up to like seeing a shadow eventually. And now scary TV is like 20 people
Guts
being
and
murdered
gore.
in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And so reality TV used to be like Jessica and Nick. And they were talking about canned tuna. And
Oh,
is
the
it chicken
good
or is
old
it
days.
tuna? The good old days of
Right.
reality TV. And now it's
wholesome
like, no,
reality TV.
we need to have like tables flipped over, people
Yeah.
getting drunk, backstabbing each other.
I know.
And it's just, and we come from a place where we are so grateful for our pageant experience. We made it who we are today, and all of the opportunities that we have are because of being
Through
Miss
Miss USA.
USA. And so when we see something that's just a disgrace at times to pageants, it almost makes me sick. Of
I
like,
agree.
I just don't want to. you know. But then again, we're still watching it and talking about it.
That's
so.
true. We
But
are here, are we not?
My thought on that, along with my mother's post on Facebook about this, where she was saying the exact same thing as you, she made a reference to Duck Dynasty being one of the most successful reality shows of all time, and it's
So
all
true.
positivity.
So
And
true.
so she was making a plea for someone to create a reality show, whether they recast Game of Crowns for a positive spin, and they show women in pageantry doing positive things, because
Yeah.
if they do it right, it will get the viewers.
Yeah.
But I
So
think
true.
the drama's a safe bet.
Yeah.
Either
Right.
way, it's going to get the viewers.
We got to do something about this, Austin.
Amen, Austin.
We got to turn this whole thing around. By
Duck
the way, guys,
Dynasty meets Game of Crowns. Bring it.
real quick, I want to let you guys know, if you're watching on iTunes, please tell a friend, like us, leave us a comment as well. The next topic that I want to get into, were you at the Miss New England
I wasn't.
State?
I only made a couple trips to Rhode Island and that area, and then the rest of the times I saw them were like in Arizona.
Okay,
or
so if
LA.
you weren't at the pageant, have you ever seen in person a cucini?
I haven't, and I've never heard of one. I know of
Thank you.
I know of duct tape. I know of like a liner. I know a lot of things, but not a cucini.
okay, we've got the chicken cutlets in pageantry,
Okay.
right? We got the butt glue, but the cucini thing was new for me too. I'm like,
Hey,
why
it
would?
works.
But then
guess,
it's pink glittery. I'm like, isn't it gonna look like you haven't groomed the garden?
I don't know.
Like it's gonna create a big dark shadow.
Maybe.
That
Cucini.
was really bizarre. But I do have to say, so at the Miss New England State Pageant, they asked each girl, apparently, because it was written down and then announced as she came out on stage, what's the best piece of advice you ever received? So, I ask you, Susie, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, the best piece of advice for competition, like before I
No,
competed.
just in life.
Oh Lord.
In life, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
It's in high school. I read a quote, and I suppose this could be advice as well, although the author didn't tell me to my face. But it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And I love that quote. And I don't know. It's like it's something that I've always tried to live by. Although I didn't do it last week on the AFTERBUZZ TV show.
But you know what? That's like you said. It's opinions, and sometimes you're not going to make people happy.
Sure.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I've received a lot, and as much as I fight with my parents because we're very similar, there's one thing that I always remember my mom saying to me, and it's remember who you are. And with that, sometimes I know that I'm not going to be the popular person, or I'm not going to be the person that people like, and I may say things that people don't like, but I'm always going to remember who I am.
That's nice.
What about you,
Mine would
Shandi?
be either like always kind of present yourself look your best because you never know who you're going to meet, or always have a fresh pair of underwear on because you never know if you're going to have to go to the hospital that day and they're going to have to cut them off and be like, dang girl.
Oh,
Is
well,
that
if
a
they're
thing
cutting
though to
them
wear
off-
dirty underwear? Because I've never done that.
It goes with the cucini. Cucini's dirty underwear.
That's
you
right.
take your pick.
That's what the cucini could work for if you have dirty underwear.
hilarious.
Camping. It could be a camping thing.
I think though it just goes on like the front area.
It's for camel toe, right?
Yeah.
It is for camel toe.
So, I mean, I've never done a pageant, but I've been around enough duct tape, I've heard. Like
So
a
I have a
liner.
camel toe,
Oh,
toe
she's
story.
got. This is such an awesome story.
I competed in a pageant. The girl's name will be left unknown. And for some reason, I don't know if it was lighting or what, but some girls didn't have the proper lining on their suit.
Oh, gosh.
And
I've
you
seen
could
this
see
before.
like a lot of camel toe. So most girls were taking cotton swabs and kind of spreading them out and putting them down
I've
there.
never heard of that one.
They were just putting them down there so it created like a little pad, little pillow down there.
Oh,
So it just
God.
looked like one area. Well, one girl who was determined to win, instead of that, she actually glued her sides together. She glued them together.
Imagine that.
Because she
Wait.
said she didn't want like the puffiness of like
Why?
the cotton in there. So she glued herself together. When I heard that, I was like, give the girl the crown. Give her the crown
I don't know how
because
that went
she is not
down
going to
after the
pee right
pageant.
for weeks.
That is determination.
No idea.
I know. How do you get? No, I guess
Is
that
that
was
real?
butt glue. Does she use butt glue?
I have no idea. I mean, I doubt it was like crazy
mean,
glue.
Butt glue is
Or
water
she's probably
soluble.
still together.
Oh
I
my
hope
gosh.
not.
No idea, but she glued herself together. So
Wow.
you see all
Involuntarily
sorts
made a
of
vow to
stuff in
celibacy.
pageants.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
You see all sorts of stuff in pageants.
That is traumatizing.
I saw a girl one time coat her entire midsection and lower and upper thighs with Preparation H, and then
sure.
wrapped
Cellophane.
herself in cellophane and slept in it because she's like, oh, you lose like.
I don't think that works. Do you think? I think that's like a
Really?
huge
I
urban
do
legend.
it.
I feel like I've heard you say that before somewhere.
Probably. I
Okay.
heard it back when I competed in the Miss America days.
Okay.
There was a girl who would do that, and
When I competed at Teen USA, my roommate, she did that to her thighs.
Are you serious?
Every single night.
I mean, I use it for makeup. It takes down swelling, so
Oh.
maybe. Like water weight, I don't know.
So interesting.
I would never wrap myself in cellophane. Well, unless I was having fun with the hubby. No,
Oh
I'm joking.
my God.
I'm joking. I don't have a hubby. I have a
Let's leave
boyfriend.
your sex life out of the after show, shall we?
But no, I wouldn't coat myself in Preparation H. That's just really like. How about
That's
we
a
go?
lot of preparation H because those bottles are like that big.
And it's like, how about you go to the gym and walk on the treadmill? There's a novel idea. Like
Or
maybe.
take a water pill.
Right?
Yeah.
Anything. Anything except for that. It's crazy. Well, guys, I think that is all for today. I have to say, I want to end with this because I think this was like the quote of the evening on this episode.
This was an awesome quote. We were like, can you say this on TV?
Can you say? I don't even know if we can say it on AfterBuzz TV.
We
but
can.
We can. We
We're
can say
doing
anything.
it.
We got the go ahead. So here
Full
goes.
steam ahead, Suze.
All right. So Lynne said when she was talking about Vanassa and Leha, she said, these two were in a fight a little while ago, and now the two of them are closer than two balls hanging out beneath a dick.
I have never heard that.
That's what she said. I was like, I wanted to high five her because that's kind of amazing.
I was like, rewind that. Did we hear
Wait,
that?
Lynn said that?
Yes.
Lynn is
said
the
that.
funniest. She says stuff like that all the time.
We
That's
actually
hilarious.
rewound it to listen to it again because I'm like, wait, did she just?
Oh my gosh, that's
Did she just
hilarious.
compare them
you
to
could say
balls
that on
under
TV?
a penis? She
Yeah.
did.
Wow, I didn't know you could say that last
They were
word
in a-
on TV.
I bet they're sweaty.
That's what we said.
They're sweaty friends.
Shorty balls.
Oh my gosh.
Too much.
Austin, thank you so much for
Thank you
being
for
a
having me.
guest
Yeah,
on the
I'm so
show.
glad you were
Love
able to
having
come.
the insider view
Of course.
Game of Crowns.
Austin, tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter, please.
Twitter, Instagram, real Austin Ryde, RYDE. Love it if you'd go follow me.
Absolutely.
And you can find me at Susie Castillo.
And Shandi Finnessey.
Yay! That's it, guys. We'll see you next week for another fabulous episode of the After Show of Game of Crowns. We'll see you guys then.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.